What's up, everybody? Welcome to Own the Kiosk. My name is Brad. That is Fat Man Zoom. The stock market is crazy and chaotic. We made it our mission to help you own it. Fat Man Zoom, we have a special topic for today's video. What's it going to be about?
We got the top 10 stocks for 2021. The Chaos crew has spoken. They want to know what we got on the list. And man, this was not easy.
It was not easy. There's so many good companies out there that we wanted to choose from. Narrowing it down was especially hard. So if yours didn't make the list, make sure you're leaving some comments down below because we might just agree with yours as well.
Yeah, and we tried to mix it up. We tried to bring some things that maybe we haven't talked about all the time, some new ones, mix up sectors, and just get you thinking about things beyond just the traditional EV stocks that we get every single time.
Yeah.
So with that being said, you want to kick us off with the first stock?
Yeah. So the first stock that I'm talking about for 2021 is going to be OpenDoor. Now, this is a stock that just recently went public this year. In December, it was started off as a SPAC and reverse merged and is now being listed as OpenDoor. And Fat Man Zoom, OpenDoor is something that I am particularly excited about because this is just going to be the new way, in my opinion, that I think people buy and sell homes. You literally can go on OpenDoor, buy and sell your house. They will assist you through the entire process. They are, I don't think people actually realize just how big OpenDoor is as a company. And I think that they're really going to start to blow people away as far as their rapid rate of growth. So much so that it's gained the attention of ARK Invest and Cathie Wood as well. They actually divested from their Zillow position in order to buy up more OpenDoor, up to $100 million, in fact. And I imagine they probably will end up moving a little bit more money into this as well. Now, it's already moved up quite a bit. But man, OpenDoor, in my opinion, has going to be a huge 2021 for them, especially because we've talked about how the housing market is continuing to boom. We are seeing people flee from urban areas and going into the suburbs. And, there's just going to be so much other movement. We know that interest rates aren't going anywhere. So it's going to be an amazing 2021 for residential real estate, and OpenDoor has just picked a perfect time to go public with their company.
Yeah, real estate as a whole, specifically residential real estate, we're very bullish on for 2021. And, I think the biggest challenge that's going to come with 2021 is which one you're going to go with.
Right.
There are many options, and people know what our number one is, the stock that shall not be named right now. But there's especially the digital side of things and how people are able to pretty much do anything virtually. I would imagine from the real estate process, it's going to see who sort of lands in the top 2-3 positions, but OpenDoor certainly has an opportunity to do that. You want to check out the chart?
Yeah, their slogan is sell your home from the comfort of your couch. I mean, how much easier can you get than that? And, looking here at the chart, I had a support here marked down at $23.50 and now sitting at up above $30.11. I don't think this stops anytime soon. When you think about the rate of growth that OpenDoor has and the size of the company that it already is, and you compare it to something like Zillow, Zillow has... their market cap is 3 times that of OpenDoor, and I think OpenDoor definitely has the ability to match and exceed that in the coming months and into the rest of 2021. With it sitting at $30.12 right now, I think there is some room for a potential pullback. And at this point, I'm just saying anything under $20 is or under $30 is an absolute steal for OpenDoor, because I imagine that we could end up seeing a 30, 40, maybe even 50% move for OpenDoor in 2021.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to that. So number 2, we have Facebook. And Facebook one that we've been a little befuddled by. It's been lagging the other social medias. It doesn't belong below 300 in my opinion. Yeah. And I don't understand why. I would probably point to sort of the heat that's being put on it from the government.
Yep.
But we've seen this before. It happens to these tech companies, especially the bigger ones. But when you look at it overall, it doesn't deserve to lag. And so it's about up 30% on the year. When you look at the competitors, when you look at Snapchat, when you look at Pinterest, which are up over 200% on the year, even Twitter, my God, Twitter is up 70% on the year.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that Facebook should only be up 30%? That's just nonsense. So from that perspective, I think there's a lot of room to grow. And let me be clear, we really like Snapchat. That's one that we made over 100% move on. Pinterest, we've called out on Pinterest. And so we have no issues with those. But Facebook, with what they're doing, you've talked about the marketplace and how they're helping small businesses. I think they could potentially give Etsy a run for their money, or at least carve out similar sort of space market share within that.
Yeah.
We have the video platforms. And, the biggest thing is, did you know, Brad, that Facebook has about the same amount of cash on hand that Amazon does?
No, I did not realize.
$55 billion cash on hand.
That's crazy.
And so, again, when you look at their competitors, you look at a Snapchat and Pinterest, which have about $2 billion. And I mean, Twitter has more than most at $7 billion. Right? They have 7 times more than the nearest person. So from that perspective, you're going to see them using their cash. They've done it before. They bought Instagram. They've made acquisitions before. And as a growth company, we talked about it. Analysts and investors want to see you spend your money. And if you got $55 billion, Facebook, it's not a matter of if, but when you're going to see the next move with that cash and that capital.
Yep.
So I'm really excited, and I'm extremely bullish on this for 2021. I think this might end up being the number one winner out of this list in 2021.
It's hard to argue that. And I going back to what you were talking about, small business, there isn't a company out there that does more for small businesses than Facebook. And small business is the lifeblood of our economy. 8 million businesses take advantage of Facebook services when it comes to ads and just building their business. Well, all the tools that Facebook has. And really, it is the best bang for your buck if you want to, choose Facebook for marketing as a business. We know this firsthand. So looking at Facebook here, it is actually settled out and looks really good on the daily chart here, around 266. And to me, man, anything under 265, 266 area just seems like it's a screaming deal. We've talked about this getting to 350 even in 2021. And I think that there's definitely some room for that to happen, as long as, they don't run into any more issues with Congress and that sort of thing. Either way, regardless, Facebook is going to continue to roll here. And, if small businesses continue to take advantage and use Facebook services, there's no reason to believe that this won't have another great year in 2021. For me,
yes.
Next is going to be Square. Now, Square has already been a monster for 2020. There's no stopping this, in my opinion. The reason being is because of the moves that we've seen with Bitcoin, and it's finally being more widely accepted. We saw Bitcoin hit all-time highs yet again over the weekend at 24,000. If you're watching this 6 months down the road in 2021, who knows where it'll be by then. But there's a little bit different sense of, I guess enthusiasm for Bitcoin at this point. There isn't that euphoria that we saw back in 2017. It seems like it's more stable at this point. People are buying and holding forever. And so I think there's just people who are less scared of it now than they were back then. Square is directly invested in Bitcoin as well. And I think that is going to be a huge reason that we see Square move. Not only that, but there have been so many small businesses that were created in 2020, kind of going back to why we love Facebook. But Square is going to be that POS system for a lot of those small businesses. They're only going to continue to roll and do really, really well in 2021, my man.
Yeah, and I'm a fan of PayPal. I actually just made my first purchase of Bitcoin on PayPal. That doesn't mean I'm bullish on Bitcoin. I literally put like $400 in, but I wanted to see the process.
Yeah.
I think whichever one you like, we've talked about this, PayPal and Square, I think they're running tandem, just like Visa and MasterCard.
Yeah.
They're going to be awesome. But I will tell you, just that experience of it, of the transaction and how they set it up, makes me even more bullish on PayPal and Square as a whole, whichever one you want. The question becomes, and I know a lot of people are asking, like, it's so hot and like the stocks, they're at all-time highs. Where can I get in if I haven't got in? Sort of what's my entry?
Yeah, and what I would say to that is, of course, there's definitely going to be pullbacks, and we talk about dollar cost averaging into these stocks. The thing of it is that even though Square's sitting at 241 right now, after it has just absolutely skyrocketed this year, I have price targets for Square in 2021 reaching $325 a share. And I think that actually happens pretty easily. So even if you're buying at 241, don't feel like that it's too late as far as that's concerned, in my opinion. I would probably consider just kind of nibbling off some here and then starting to scale in dollar cost average on the dips. But I definitely see a case in which Square sees at the very least $300 per share in 2021.
All right, number 4 stock, Peloton. Peloton would have been on this list regardless, but the news came out yesterday of their $400 million acquisition of Precor that makes me even more bullish on this stock. Yeah. The reason why we were excited about Peloton first, and then I'll get into why it's awesome that Precor acquisition happened. We were bullish because we have skyrocketing demand during the lockdown, and we're not even yet in their busy season.
Yeah.
So like, the New Year's resolution time, that first quarter is going to be monstrous. And I think record-setting quarter. They have a lot of things going in their favor. They just released the Bike Plus, which I think is going to be one of the products that we see awesome volume of movement out of. And in all initial statistics say that it actually is selling very well.
Yep.
And so that's really exciting for Peloton. On top of that, you have other products that are being released. So we have 2 more products next year at the very minimum that will be released, which is the Tread, which is a cheaper version of their treadmill. That's going to be huge because the market for treadmills is far greater than the market for bikes. And then towards the end of 2021, we should be seeing the rowing machine, which is also a new sort of sector and type of person that they're targeting. I can see people saying, hey, let me get all 3. That's my home gym. I'm done.
Yep.
So I'm excited about all that stuff. Beyond that, the reason why this Precor solidifies this as a top stock is because Precor addresses the number one issue that Peloton has right now, which is their supply issue. They have such high demand that their consumer base, which is loyal, which is cult-like, has been getting frustrated. And I think that this was the action that will address the needs, which is there's been delays in shipping. They just can't keep up with demand, plain and simple.
Yeah.
Well, Precor has 625,000 square feet of manufacturing space that addresses that issue. And then as icing on the cake, one of the initiatives that Peloton had named for 2021 was getting into the corporate space. And that is directly, squarely where Precor is positioned, and that puts them right on the timeline towards the end of 2021. See them getting into the corporate spaces because right now Precor has fitness centers, health clubs like 24-Hour Fitness, Planet Fitness. They have corporate spaces. They have colleges. So they're going to be able to enter into that seamlessly. I'm excited about Peloton, and I think that when you see these numbers first quarter, you're going to be blown away.
Yeah, I do too, man. There's few stocks that we're as excited about that we are with Peloton, and for all of the reasons that you've talked about. And I might have missed this, but there's also the recurring revenue side of it that you know that we don't really, I guess, pay enough or shine enough light onto. It's not just about selling individual products. It's also about that recurring revenue. They've created this cult-like atmosphere, and I think that's just going to continue to propel them, and the growth that Peloton has for 2021 and beyond is just going to be astronomical. So really good stuff with Peloton. I just want to put you on the spot here. What do you think that you could see Peloton getting to in 2021?
You are definitely putting me on the spot, but I will give you an on-the-spot prediction. So I am going to say,
let me just ask you this.
I'm looking at about 210.
Okay. I was just about to say that. Yeah. Over under 200 for 2021 is what I was going to ask you. So,
yeah. So the number that I calculated was 208 as if I would make a prediction.
I like that. 208 for Peloton 2021 is Fat Man Zoom's prediction for that. My next one, how could it be a 2021 list without Rocket? Now, you guys know there might be some folks out there that could be rolling their eyes because we've been so bullish on Rocket for months now, and it hasn't really done a whole lot. It just kind of wants to hang around in this $20 to $22 range. But I'm telling you, the largest lending company in America is Rocket Mortgage, and you can't, have this. You can't leave this out of the conversation, especially when you're talking about residential, real estate booming. Not only that, but also, people may have concerns about about foreclosures and that sort of thing, it doesn't impact Rocket in ways that you think it does. And for this reason, and we're starting to get past some of the lockup periods and that sort of thing with Rocket. Let's not forget, in their last quarter, they actually announced a $1 billion buyback for Rocket as well, which should get this stock moving. We love Rocket for all the reasons that we've explained before, but man, I just don't see how this stays down in this $20 range in 2021. I could even see this getting up 30-40% depending on what this buyback looks like and how people respond to the growth in real estate, bro. We haven't seen numbers like this since 2005.
Yeah, patience pays off for this one. And I know, especially for long-term, we are saying this is a long-term play.
Yeah.
Continue to believe in this stock unless it's giving you something otherwise. But I think part of it is the technology piece of it. Maybe there's some hesitancy with just considering it sort of like this, this stay-at-home play.
Yeah.
But there really is no reason why this shouldn't move up. It's going to take some patience. We felt that frustration and we focus more on the long term. We do have it in our long-term trading account for Own the Chaos, and it's not going anywhere. So there is a lot of upside to it, and we think that analysts are going to come around. We already see them starting to, but once this thing moves, I think it's going to move fast.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people want to compare this to banks and that sort of thing. I think this is more relatable if you want to draw an apples to apples comparison to technology. And I think that when investors and analysts start to really kind of accept us more as a technology company than a bank or a finance company, even though it is in that field, that this is going to really start to move along with all the other catalysts that we've talked about. Getting into Rocket under $22 a share seems to be a reasonable area that we would consider a continued accumulation on. And obviously we've talked about this before, that $24 mark is going to be crucial. Once it breaks up over that from a technical standpoint, Rocket should make some really nice moves and maybe get itself propelled to all-time highs over $30 a share.
Yeah, absolutely. And before I go on to number 6, I just want to touch on the Chaos Crew.
Yeah.
So if you don't know what the Chaos Crew is, we have a membership that's $4.99 to join, and you'll get a daily watch list. You get private live stream. You get members only videos that talk about strategies, all that good stuff. And you are actually a part of making the decision or voting on what content we produce. So this video was voted on Monday as the one that our crew wanted to see. And I wanted to shout out a couple people. So 2 Chaos Crew members, we asked them to bring up stocks that could potentially be on this list. So one is William Invest. Shout out to William Invest. So he actually put up GameStop, GME, and he talked about he really believed in the CEO, liked the leadership, and liked the vision. He put that on Monday. Today, the stock's up 22%. So, William, I hope you're in it.
Hell of a call, man.
The move was so massive. I didn't have enough time to research to see how I felt about it. So it didn't make the list, but made honorable mention. The other honorable mention, To the Moon, threw out Square. I knew you were going to be in on it. They talked a lot about the bullish pattern on it. So I wanted to make sure to shout those people out. So if you guys are interested, click on the join button next to subscribe. The link's also in the description. We'd love to have you in the crew. We're over 1,000 strong. That
is awesome, man. Great community to be a part of. For $4.99 a month, you just can't beat it. Hit that join button next to subscribe. Link's also in the description there if you can't find the join button. We'd love to have you guys over the crew. What we got next, brother?
So number 6 is one we brought actually to the mentorship today. I don't think anybody outside of the mentorship knows about this stock. And it's actually an ETF. So it's SPCX. Let me say how we arrived here. So we've been talking a lot about IPOs, IPO strategy.
Yep.
We're not big fans of getting into IPOs. And through the conversations, we actually began researching SPACs. And you got into IPOB. It's something we've been looking at for a while. I've been looking at IPOC for a while. You got into that. It's been going great so far.
Yeah.
And so through that research, wouldn't you know, there's a new SPAC ETF, and this basically allows you to benefit from all the SPACs. So if you're not sure about which SPAC, and I'm kind of in that boat where I'll play IPOC, but I'm not yet totally confident on it. This is a great hedge for it. It's going to have a place in my long-term portfolio. And I want to give you a couple of metrics for SPAC. So first thing is, let me explain what this, it's called the SPAC and New Issue ETF. So it started trading last week. So it's new. December 16th, I believe, was the date that it started trading.
Yeah.
It's the first actively managed ETF that gives investors direct exposure to the disruptive capital markets theme of SPACs. What I love about it is that it's actively managed. So that means it's going in and out of things. And the IPOs, which if you guys don't know, look up IPOB, IPOC, the Chatham Group. So that social capital company, they're going to go IPO every letter of the alphabet. Right now they just launched B, which was OpenDoor. They're on C, and they're going to go to Z. That's what Chatham says. So I'm excited about that. I think people are going to get hip to it. So I think this is another hedge opportunity for it. And if you want to talk more about SPACs in general, the other thing I wanted to bring up was statistically, it talks about their popularity. So through December 8th, there have been 217 SPACs IPO year to date. So the reverse merger actually happened. And the gross proceeds exceeded $74 billion, right? So 217 SPACs. Comparison to last year, there was 59, $13 billion. So you see the growth.
Right.
And I still think this is just sort of scratching the surface. I think more and more companies get into that. And I think traders start funneling more money into it because it allows you to get that opportunity of like a pre-IPO situation if you're willing to be patient. And as far as I understand it, the research I've done says that the way the fund's going to work is SPACs work in like 2-year increments. So they're going to pick up a stock within the 2 years before it reverse merges, and then up to 2 years, and then it's going to roll off that company. So it's going to be continuing funneling new SPACs. I love how it's set up. I love the hedge. And I think it's going to be one. You're not going to see a lot of volume right now, but put it on your watch list because I think people are going to start running with it. And when people find out, I think this thing's going to shoot off. It's about $25 right now. There's huge upside to this one.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how this one works out, especially with there's so much craze around SPACs in general. Like Fat Man Zoom said, it just started trading, but this is why we're bringing it to your attention. We wanted to make sure that we were an early mover on this so that we could get you in. If you're interested in something, looking at something like this, that you can make a decision early, because we think that if more hype kind of catches on here, it should really start to get some moves once people start to realize what it is, especially if you're on the fence about which SPACs are good and which ones aren't. You can hedge a lot of that by just buying the ETF. All right. So for me, the next one that I am getting into for 2021 is going to be AirBNB. In my opinion, I have talked to everybody about this, and I think that Airbnb is to hotels what Tesla is to the internal combustion engine. Airbnb is going to continue to roll here. It's actually made some really strong moves since their IPO. They shot up, around 156 per share and came back down, pulled back to around 120, 150. I thought that, perhaps they would come back down to $100 flat or maybe even below that. It hasn't happened. They've actually continued to roll here up to 175 just today, and as of this recording, now sitting around 165. But Airbnb, the growth potential that they have, especially with a lot of the pent-up demand that we've seen over 2020, when things start to kind of get back to normal, the vaccine's out, and people start to act normal again, they can go out and travel. Airbnb is going to continue to roll. And Fat Man Zoom actually brought this up when they first IPO'd, that Airbnb picked the perfect time to go public, because they basically set the bar low for themselves. When they come out with their next earnings, you probably will naturally see growth coming from Airbnb because they've just been beaten down so much in 2020. So it seems as if they will end up continuing to do well year over year in the coming at least 2-3 years. And I think that 2021 could be a really great year for Airbnb. We've seen a huge increase in demand from folks that are, leaving their house and traveling within a 500-mile radius. They're flocking to these Airbnbs over hotels because sometimes they're cheaper. Most cases they provide better service, even if they aren't cheaper, and folks are willing to spend more money with them. There's just so many other things that are better with an Airbnb than when you compare it with the hotel. And I gotta be honest with you, man, I haven't stayed in a hotel since I don't know when. It's always been Airbnb for me, and I think it probably will be for the foreseeable future. I just don't see how this goes away, and I think that we'll see this continued growth from Airbnb.
Yeah, their model is just insane. It's awesome. And if you look at their platform, it's seamless, it's easy. They've really sort of dug in their niche, and it's going to be hard to knock them off. I know that we talked about Booking.com, Expedia, they're trying to get into that space, but there's even a feel of the brand. The way they built the brand, is you feel like Airbnb is like your friend, like you know it, you can trust it.
Right.
Where you feel like Expedia and Booking are like a business where you're just like, well, I'm acquaintance. I know them. They seem okay, but I can't trust them.
Right.
And I think they've done a great job in that. And the one thing, or the couple things that excite me. So you had stated that you can't remember the last time you stayed in a hotel. They don't have any personality.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about, I have stayed at a hotel, and I stayed in a hotel because of business in the past, right? They don't have a rewards program.
Right.
My prediction, 2021, they create a rewards program. And if they do that, you're going to see all the business people, all the companies move away and move towards Airbnb. They purchased Hotel Tonight, which if you don't know what that is, it's basically an app platform for last minute hotels. And I used to use it. I actually love the platform. Another issue with that is they never had a really good rewards program. So I love that acquisition. A lot of people don't realize that. The other thing a lot of people don't think about is there's another revenue opportunity for them, which is their Airbnb experiences, and nobody's tapping into it. So when you go to a city, you can actually set up experiences with locals, whether it be like a dinner tasting or a wine tour or whatever it is. And I think that is going to be a nice little piece of revenue. It's not going to be dominating, but I see us growing that over time. And that's going to be something that really not many people can replicate as well, and just going to increase revenue and growth for them in the future. So that's a great call. Love Airbnb.
Yeah, man. I just love this stock. Looking at the chart here, sitting at 155.60 seems to be a decent support. It's had quite the run up over the last couple of days. Keep in mind, we still have the lockup period coming up on Airbnb. So I do think that you'll have other opportunities to perhaps get into this a little bit cheaper. And that's probably what I'm going to be waiting for this to pull back a little bit more, because I do think that it has the opportunity for that. So, but definitely keep it on the watch list. This is something that I for sure will be owning this coming year. Love it a lot. Batman Zoom, what do we got next?
So at number 8, we have Amazon. And I feel like I'm cheating a little bit, but this stock, we've said it, we thought it would be at 4K by the end of the year. It doesn't belong down here. Amazon right now sitting around $3,200. There are so many catalysts. It's absolutely ridiculous. So I'll start out with the cash. We said it had around the same amount of cash on hand as Facebook does, about 55 billion. They're active. I think their big opportunity areas are grocery chain. So they own Whole Foods. I think you're going to see the expansion of that. And they brought their technology into into the grocers. So they're going to begin that. When I go into my local Whole Foods, it's jammed in their delivery service. It's half the people are just delivering. Yeah. I think people recognize that and they keep using that afterwards. And then you're going to get the influx after this is all said and done. I'd love that acquisition that they made because it was like a high-end brand. So there is so much market share they could take up in that, and I think they will. The other thing is Prime video service. I feel like only recently since shutdown are people like really talking about it. It used to be Netflix, and that was kind of it, Netflix and Hulu. Yeah. Now you're talking about shows on Prime, and when you hear it publicly, like they have the money to invest in that content. And I can see them making a run at Netflix, and you seeing like a big 3 of Netflix, Prime, and Disney. I kind of see how that settles out. But they have a real opportunity to make a run, and people are starting to take that seriously. Amongst all the other things they've been talking about upping sort of their product quality with the clothing and having like fashion stores. I think the quality just increases. Also, don't forget about their ability to create from the gig economy to create income for other people to be able to sell. So their partner program, all that stuff. I can go on and on. They have a lot of things going on. They keep moving. They don't settle, and they keep evolving. This was a bookstore company, like a book reselling company. Let's not forget it. So if any company knows about evolving and innovating, it's this one. I believe in Amazon, and this is like top 2-3 stocks. Like you have to have. I don't care how much money it costs. Hold on to it, invest in it, don't trade it. Yep,
absolutely. Looking at the chart here, as far as Amazon's concerned, 3,200 seems to be where it's been living recently. And we have said that it's kind of been hanging around in this channel on the daily chart between 3,200 and $3,000. I think that this area where it keeps bouncing to and from, is those days are going to be numbered going into 2021. Amazon, if we look back on previous quarters, they just continue to crush earnings expectations, and then there's almost very little movement as a result. I think that, I don't know. I don't know if it's because of the price. Perhaps we might even see a split out of Amazon in 2021. And what does that look like? And will that encourage more buying for investors? Well, that will remain to be seen. Either way, we see Amazon as a buy. And it's one of those things where you just buy it and hold it forever and thank us later when you're ready to retire. Moving on to number 9. We're almost getting down to the end of this list, guys. But for me, it's going to be Asana. Now, this might be one that you might be asking yourself, well, what is Asana? If you're not using Asana, you probably don't know what it is. But it is in a world where we are now more widely accepting of remote work, especially as businesses start to realize that it makes a whole lot more sense to have people working from home because they're happier. They don't have to worry about commuting as much. They get more stuff done when they're at home. And so the more that this is accepted, I think the more that you'll see companies that thrive on remote work, such as Asana, do really well. Now, if you don't know what Asana basically is a platform that allows you to organize all of your projects and tasks amongst all of your other coworkers and colleagues and even management, so that you're not, just because you're not together doesn't mean that you can't get stuff done in a nice and organized fashion. And Asana, in my opinion, is even better than some of the other ones that we've seen out there, such as Trello. And we looked at like Trello and the valuation there, and Asana is just a fraction of that, even though their growth is so much higher than Trello's is. And I know for a fact, Fat Man Zoom, that you absolutely love Asana as well.
Yeah, some people say when you get into the market, just invest in things that you believe in. If you have an Apple, if you have an iPhone and Mac, like buy Apple. If
right.
if you shop at Amazon, buy Amazon. This is one of those things. Zoom and Asana, I believe in as a product, as a consumer. I love them. I think it's going to be around. And what's so enticing is the market cap. Like if somebody bought Asana, right? Salesforce bought Slack.
Yeah.
Salesforce bought Slack for almost $30 million. The market cap you're talking about, comparatively, it's like a quarter.
Yeah.
It's actually a sixth of what Slack's is. I don't believe, and they have less revenue, but they're also they're still growing, and they're growing at a massive clip. And if you look at their earnings, their growth is awesome. And it's going to continue to happen. And as more people adopt it, this is going to grow like wildfire. And we made the shift over from Trello. So for that reason, I believe in it. And you could see through the partnerships they're forging that this is a great opportunity. And this is actually an acquisition opportunity in the future. You could hold on to it. It could keep growing, or somebody can scoop it up that has some cash on hand and you make a pretty penny off of it. So as an investor, I think this is a safe one.
I could very easily see any of the larger companies scooping this up. Google's probably the first one that comes to mind, but there's other ones out there. You could even see something like a Shopify or Twitter, one of those companies acquiring Asana because of the qualities they have. We talked about how Facebook plans on having 50% of their workforce working from home within the next 5 years. And that probably will increase that number. Wouldn't it be nice to have something like Asana to be able to organize all of that, and so they don't have to create something like that from scratch? That's definitely on the table. And I think that you could be onto something as far as that's concerned. Either way, we think Asana is going to continue to roll in 2021 as remote work continues to become more widely accepted. In my opinion, I think we're just scratching the surface as far as remote work and where it's headed into the future. So we really love Asana. And now we are finally down to our last stock that we are watching for 2021. Number 10, Fat Man Zoom. What do we got?
So we cheated. We have an entire industry. We're doing gaming stocks and we're saying pick them.
Yeah.
Pick which one you want.
Yep.
Because it was so hard to narrow it down to damn one. And we'll tell you the reasons why and which ones we like. But let's start off with the industry as a whole. Legislation passed for gaming in this most recent vote, and we should see the market double, at least as far as entry into the market, double for online gaming.
Yeah.
We have Michigan that's about to announce in January. We've recently had Pennsylvania launch. We have a lot of things going on. New York talked about gaming. And so by the end of the year, I would imagine there's a possibility we'll have 20 markets, right? 20 states that have online gaming in them. And so without breaking down every single one of them, we'll tell the ones we like. Initially, I was going to bring MGM in. For anybody that's in On the Chaos, they know about MGM.
Yep.
So I'll spare you the details on that. I'm actually going to go for a different one, and I'm going to say GAN. And GAN, man, the more I researched it, and this was actually a Chaos Crew call out, the more I researched it, the more I liked it. So it's the number one online gaming platform as far as they build online platforms for brick and mortar. So Penn National,
right.
Guess who helped them build their online platform? GAN.
Right.
Maryland Live, where we're based out of, Maryland Live Casino, GAN, and actually FanDuel commissioned GAN as well. So I'm thinking about this as we're growing and as more states are opening up. These brick and mortar casinos are going to want to get skin in the game because I think they're going to see the opportunity and they're going to go to the number one platform to create it. And they're going to say, hey, I don't want to spend the money. I don't want to spend the heartache and the headache to like actually figure this out. You tell me what I need to do and, take care of all the business. I think their model is really smart. And I think GAN is a great spec play to do. Now, I will say that it's my number 3. We said MGM, and I think you probably hold the other one.
Yeah, mine's going to be Penn National. And, we've talked about Penn at length, but if you guys are watching this for the first time, it's the first time you're visiting on the Chaos, Penn National has been something that I've been super bullish on ever since it was down in the 30s. This thing, it just continues to roll. And as we're talking about it right now, it hit all-time highs at $96.59. And so it's just, I think that we could see easily 125, maybe even 150 a share out of Penn National. And it all has to do with everything that Fat Man Zoom said. But the competitive advantage that Penn National has is Barstool Sports. You just can't underestimate the Stoolies and the 66 plus million subscribers and viewers that they have on that content creating platform. It's so huge. And it's so massive with all of the other acceptance in sports betting. Then you add the content piece to it. And let's not forget, Penn National is set to acquire another 25% of Penn National or of Barstool Sports to own 50% of those numbers might be a little bit off, but they're going to be actually owning 50% of Barstool within the coming years. And so the more that they acquire Barstool, the more value gets added to Penn. I think that this is going to be something that we actually see some huge growth on just in the coming years. But 2021 definitely could be another year where we see just massive growth out of Penn National.
Absolutely. I know people are going to talk about their all-time highs. This is a stock we both feel confidently in from a long-term perspective.
Yep.
I think that getting in wherever is going to be fine. This is one, again, scale strategy. This is a volatile one. Right now, it's been on a great move up. You're going to get opportunities to get in. So don't feel like if you're not in it, don't feel like you have to, jump in it and get that FOMO.
Yeah.
The opportunities will present themselves.
Yeah. And I think that goes without saying on some of the other stuff that we've been watching. I always tell people, don't be afraid of some of these highs. I think that people are like, well, it's already gone up so much. How can it keep going? And the simple answer is that it's just like when people look at something that's been beaten down so much, they're like, well, it can't go much lower than this, so might as well get in. Well, the reality is, it's like, well, if you have that mindset of like, well, if it can't go much lower than this, first of all, you're wrong. It can absolutely go lower. So don't subscribe yourself to that. And it's the same thing here. It can absolutely go higher. And when you look at some of the catalysts that are coming along with a lot of these companies that we've seen, there's just so much more on the table for them. The story has yet to have been finished being written. And so when you look at it from that perspective, you look at something that may be at its all-time high, but there's just still so much more room to grow for this. We talk about Peloton and Penn National and even AirBNBs. These are all companies that are going to continue to grow in 2021 despite where they're at right now.
Yeah, absolutely. There you have it, bro. Top 10 stocks for 2021 until next year.
It'll be interesting to see what this looks like. We'll have to revisit this in December of 21 to see how accurate we actually were on this. I think we're going to nail this one though too, as per the usual. So for those of you who are visiting for the first time, we certainly hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button. And also, if you want to be a part of the Chaos Crew, getting our daily watch list as well as access to our public weed pool portfolio, which by the way is up over 60% year to date. So I'd say we did a pretty darn good job. If you guys want to be part of that, make sure you're hitting the join button next to subscribe, or there's a link in the description. We'd love to have you guys over at the crew. And that's going to do it for us. We hope you guys have a fantastic 2021 as far as investing is concerned. And that's going to do it for us. Fat Man Zoom, Happy New Year, bro. We'll see you guys. And yeah, I don't know.
Go Rocket. Go Rocket, baby. Let's go.
Let's do it. See you guys.